Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Dr. Brown got fired. It's a game that we were in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does that happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch it all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Welcome back to Survivors episode 61, season 3, the final day of season 3. Season 4 will start tomorrow, as will the NFL. 2019 NFL season starts 4 p.m. Eastern. Greg's here. What up?
Yo. Hey, how come like some of those deals though, it's from like they go to the third day of the league that they don't finalize. So some people, you know how it goes. Well, you'll be paid a bonus if you make it to a certain day. Like TJ Carey's, for instance, if he gets cut by Friday,
yes,
then the Browns save like $7 million. They don't do it on the first day of the league year. They wait a couple days.
Generally, that's so that some teams can figure out if they're signing anybody in the first couple days. And then TJ Carey also gets it so that he can get on the market if the Browns do decide to cut him. So it works in both the players and the teams benefit to set a date that's not the first day.
Okay.
You saw with Fells, who was released on Sunday, a lot of the veterans get cut a little bit early. I think that's just some veteran courtesy.
Okay, well, let's start with that. Darren Fells, that was kind of a shocker to me. The Browns save a little bit of money this year. Yeah, not much. I think it was like, $3 million. But the thing is, if you're going to get rid of him, then you do it now so you can save that, because I believe he was due some kind of bonus on Friday, was he not?
Yeah, $1.5 million of his 2019 salary, which was 2.6. So the Browns get that off the books. We will carry 1.4 million dead cap. Oh, you know what? I saw a discussion about dead cap on Twitter. So let me clear that real quick. So for easy math, a guy signs a 5-year contract for $100 million, and there's a $10 million signing bonus. Nothing guaranteed. $10 million signing bonus. Divide that over 5 years, or the life of the contract, but maximum of 5 years. So that would be $2 million prorated signing bonus every year of the contract, correct?
Yep.
If he plays 1 year and then the Browns cut him, you accelerate all the unused prorated signing bonus into that year. So you've already paid 2. You still owe him. There's still 8 prorated, and he's cut. So that $8 million goes on that year's cap. That money's already been paid. I mean, there's a bunch of escrow and shit when teams actually pay out the signing bonus. But for cap purposes, just know that dead cap is money that was paid to the player that's not on your team. That's why they just call it dead. In some cases, it's not 100% cash. Sometimes it's just cap number. But that's how dead cap works.
Right.
Okay.
So there you go. There is your weekly cap tip from Adam here on Surviving the Season. No.
Well, there was some confusion about what it actually meant.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because sometimes that's where you take the biggest hit. So, all right. So Darren Fells, okay, for instance, $1.4 million still on that gets paid this year. And then the other one that, just quickly, I don't want to get into yet because we'll get into the trade here, but Kevin Zeitler had a signing bonus, and the Browns are still going to be on the books for 3 years of his signing bonus, right?
Correct. Yeah. 2.4 was the prorated. So his dead cap number for this year will be $7.2 million.
So we're paying Kevin Zeitler $7 million not to play for the Browns this year, basically, because of the trade. That they've already paid him. They've already paid him the money, yes, but it counts against our salary cap. So if anybody gets confused, you might look and go, hey, what the hell? Why are we stuck paying $7 million to Zeitler? We traded him. You don't trade the signing bonus. The signing bonus stays with you. And that's part of the deal, like what happened with Antonio Brown. They reworked his contract. The Steelers got really screwed over on that deal because didn't they pay him a huge signing bonus up front? And that didn't carry over in the trade. And that is why Antonio Brown wanted to rework his deal. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on in some of these.
Yeah, Antonio Brown's contract was very, very confusing because Pittsburgh, so this is what they talk about, like the cap isn't a real number and you can restructure these, but this is what happens if you get into trouble. Pittsburgh restructured his deal in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and then re-signed him to a big deal in 2017, converted more money in 2018. So what happens is all that money that you convert, there's a restructure. And then if that player retires or gets traded, all that restructured bonus, it prorates just like a signing bonus. There's a whole other number for it. All that goes onto that year's cap. That's why the Steelers are left with 21 million dead cap. 11.4 of that is signing bonus from the 2017 extension, and 10 million of that is restructure bonus.
Oh my goodness!
That's why that number's so high, and that's why it's a little bit scary to restructure your contracts, except for quarterbacks. Like Brady restructures almost every year. Aaron Rodgers is another one. He's got like a 30 million dead cap number at one point because he's been restructured so often.
Right, so and it makes sense. With that. It only makes sense if that guy is part of your plans for the next, 4 or 5 years, whatever his deal is.
Yeah, you really don't want him to leave.
Yeah, you can't. And then so I guess that's a lesson to everybody. Don't ever restructure your prima donna wide receiver. But honestly, when you look at that contract of what, like, he had no more guaranteed money on his deal after this year. So if you're Antonio Brown, you go, what the hell am I doing? I'm one of the best wide receivers in the league. How do I have no guaranteed money on my deal? And then, so when you look at that and people can say he quit on his team and whatnot during the season. That's right. But at the same time, he's also has to look out for his future where he can just be cut and not be paid anything for the next couple of years. And why would you leave yourself exposed like that when you're one of the best wide receivers in the game? That's smart business by Antonio Brown, I think.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
It's bad business by the Steelers. And then, so when everybody says, oh, the Browns got all kinds of money. Yes, we do. But one thing we don't want to do is get ourselves in cap hell and end up like the Steelers and be in one of these positions.
Yeah, they had to convert 12. What was it? So he had a $7 million due in salary, and he had a $6 million roster bonus last year. What they did was they took that $13 million and made it a signing bonus. So then they instead of, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Instead of paying out $13 million that year in cap, they made it a signing bonus, which now prorates that over 5 years. It cleared like $10 million in space so they can go sign other players. So that's a way that the teams fuck with the cap to give you space. But if the guy leaves, boom, that $10 million goes right on today's cap.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're really stuck. They've had a tough year with Bell and Brown.
Here's the thing. Okay, I mean, I want to get into the Brown stuff, but let's quickly talk about this. So if I was the Brown, let's say I wanted Antonio Brown, I would have went to the Raiders or whatever team, and I say, okay, what? Because they're not going to deal with you. You know damn well the Steelers aren't dealing with you, and you go, all right, this is what the Steelers will accept: a third and a fifth. All right, you take your third and your fifth, you trade to the Steelers, and then when you get Antonio Brown under contract, you trade him to us for a pick 17. Right? and Antonio Brown is in a Cleveland Brown. And then two times a year just absolutely crushes the Steelers. I would have tried to work some backdoor magic like that.
I wonder if that would be circumventing the CBA.
Who cares? But the other thing is, okay, when Antonio Brown is in the media, saying he wants out and all this other stuff, how is that not conduct detrimental to the team? One, and then if it's conduct detrimental to the team, how can't they suspend him? Two, and then once you suspend him, three, how does that not get rid of his bonus money? That's what doesn't make sense. How can you constantly go out and berate your team? This is actually what the Steelers should have did when he wasn't showing up for practice. You suspend him, and they didn't. They got soft. They said, well, we don't want things to go. We want things to be smooth. Okay, Antonio, we know you didn't show up for practice on Monday or Tuesday, but if you don't mind coming in on Wednesday, we'll just blow this thing over. No, you suspend his ass. Then you take away his guarantees, just like what the Jags did to Leonard Fournette, and then the rest of his and then you go, okay, man, do you want to play hardball? We'll play hardball. And then you turn around. This doesn't happen to you. You have to do that sort of thing, I think, because now Antonio Brown gets leverage, and he just played you.
Yeah.
You just got played.
Kind of scary for teams going forward.
It shouldn't even come to that, though. That's what's crazy. Like, it should not even be able to come to something like that. You know, if you sign that contract, then that's you've committed to it, and the team should have power over that. How they allowed Antonio Brown to get all the power in this is really doesn't make sense. And then, you know, they may or may not have had a deal in place with Buffalo, and then he nixed that. Like, and then not only that, his terms are he's setting the terms of where he's going also. Because of retire? Okay, I would say retire then. Yeah. See ya. I don't need your third and a fifth. Retire, because I don't even want you playing in the league if you're going to sit here and try to play us. Like, we have to have some type of integrity as an organization.
Well, half of the problem is the teams also don't have to honor the contract. So they'll sign they gave them a $68 million 4-year contract. Then they have outs. So the team doesn't have to even go through that whole contract. So why should the player?
Well, because and I'm not saying, I guess if you want to argue it that way, that's fair. That's fair in that sense. But, you know, the player's agreeing to not have guarantees after a certain point, right? So he doesn't have to sign that contract. He can say either you give me a 100% guaranteed contract or I'm not going to play for you. And then they might go, well, then you're not playing for us.
Yeah.
So there is option. I mean, you know, no player has to sign their contract. They're not being forced to. It's like these are the contracts that we're working with. And I think this is going to be a big reason why you know, they're either going to have a lockout or the players are going to strike. You know, in the upcoming CBA when that happens. So
yeah, it gets a little messy.
But that's enough of that talk. Actual Browns talk. It's nice to see other teams, like the teams in the AFC North, though, man. It has not been good. We're one full day into free agency, 1.5 days, and you know, the Browns are coming out of this thing smelling like roses, and all the other teams are getting worse day by day.
Yeah, it looks like Mosley was headed to New York, I believe, the Jets.
Yep, got paid like $17 million a year.
And Suggs went to Arizona, so they lost 2 dudes there.
They lost Zadarius Smith. He went to Green Bay for the same amount of money as what Olivier Vernon's getting from us.
Alex Collins got cut after a run-in with the law.
It may or may not have been selling weed or some paraphernalia.
Pittsburgh loses Jesse James, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell's gone.
Cincinnati signed the worst tackle in the league.
They gave him $7 million a year for 3 years. I believe Pittsburgh. Did they lose a lineman somewhere? I can't remember.
They re-signed the Villanueva guy, but they lost the other tackle. He went somewhere. Yeah. He may have been traded. I don't have it pulled up right now, but it wasn't much.
Yeah, so all these teams are sort of losing players, which is, like you said, this is a positive for the Browns. It's still early. The season hasn't really even opened yet, so all these contracts are subject to change.
Yes, as we've just found out recently here, as Anthony Barr, who was supposedly going to the New York Jets, got cold feet, I guess you'd say, at the altar.
Yeah. Like, fuck that Jets.
He hadn't had his fair share of tampering. He would like to tamper a little bit more. Back to Minnesota for him.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the Browns. So the biggest move we haven't talked about, and it's been a couple days, the Cleveland Browns trade Kevin Zeitler for Olivier Vernon. And I know there's a little bit more to that deal, but that was the meat of the deal. Originally, when I was in a meeting and you had sent me a text and you're like, whoa, is Vernon good? And I was like, no, because I thought you were talking about Vernon Hargreaves. And you're like, we traded for him. And I went, oh, my God, what has happened? What did we trade? And you said Kevin Zeitler. I go, dear God, we traded Vernon Hargreaves for Kevin Zeitler. And then you said, no, Olivier Vernon. And I was like, oh, yeah. Woo. For a minute there, I thought we really lost our ass. But I honestly think this is a good trade. Does it suck losing Kevin Zeitler? Yes, it sucked. And in our last show, we talked about it. Like, if you're going to make a trade, you better be trading for some people that can be on the field and provide some actual production now. And I think when you go with a edge rusher who has been pretty dominant, I'm not saying he's Myles Garrett, but if you look from a pass rushing ability, like he's there, he's top notch. I mean, you go back to his years in Miami, he had a year with 88 total pressures one year. 81 was another year, and then he's been banged up a little bit the past couple of years. But when healthy, we know this guy can get to the quarterback, and that is one of the most important things. And I'm just going to say that definitely edge rusher over guard any day of the week.
I think so too. Guard is it's a replaceable position. Edge rushers are always hard to come by. The money's not that big of a deal. Vernon's apparently they're restructuring or they're maybe extending. Right now, the Browns are going to owe him $15 million a year for the next 2 years, and then he is a unrestricted free agent. And you mentioned the 7.2 dead cap that will carry over from Zeitler. Other than that, we don't owe him anything.
Yeah, so when you're looking at, and it's pretty close to what Zadarius Smith is getting from Green Bay. When you look at if we were going to sign one of these free agents, we're going to be paying them about what we'd be paying Olivier Vernon. So I'm very happy with this move. Now, the one thing is that he plays on the right side. Like, he's the right defensive end for Miami and for the Giants most often. I mean, there's times where he's been on the opposite side. And he's been pretty dominant there, like I said, but that's where Myles Garrett plays. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Who's going to switch to the other side? Maybe there'll be a little bit of rotation of both. It's hard to say. The one thing about watching Vernon, if you go and watch his highlights and stuff, you see him up against those NFC East tackles, some of the best tackles out there. Tyron Smith in Dallas. What's his name from the Eagles, the big guy, Jason Peters. Yeah, the Redskins have a very good tackle, Trent Williams, and he takes it to those guys. And those are some of the best. I mean, if you want to go to Pro Football Focus and match them up against other tackles, that's the best there is. And he's getting it done. Now he's going to come, face the Bengals twice a year, which is going to be a little bit easier. The Steelers, breaking down, getting worse day by day. I think that's going to help out. And plus, if he's going to be playing on the right side, typically left tackle is stronger than right tackle for the most part when it comes to NFL tackles. If they move over to the right, will it be an adjustment? I'm sure it will. But to the left side, will it be an adjustment? Sure. But I don't think it's anything that he can't handle. And when it comes to the run, is it his bread and butter? Absolutely not. But the one thing about him is, man, he's strong and he can hold his point. So I think that just all around upgrade over Emmanuel Ogbah. Obviously, what they're going to do with Ogbah, I guess we'll see going forward. Looking at the roster, I think it's going to be tough for him to make the roster. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up moving on from him because he only has 1 year left on his deal. They may go ahead and try to move. If they do that, I would again like to see them get a player for player deal rather than go, hey, we're going to get a 4th round pick or something like that for him.
Yeah, I don't think he probably wouldn't be drawing too high of a pick. They don't really do that. Maybe you could trade him for a player, be a little easier. How about this setup though? Like on 3rd and 15, put Vernon, Garrett inside of him. Mm-hmm. Then Ogunjobi or Ogbah if he's still around, and then Avery on the outside on that side. 4-man rush. Go get him.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it. I would like to see. We need to get John Costco on the show again because I want to ask him when they put Ogbah inside, what was the difference in his pass rush compared to the outside? Because I really felt like that was an issue last year for him. I don't think they did any favors. I think the 3-tech was so terrible last year. Matter of fact, I went back, I was watching some 2017 compared to 2018. And when you look at the defensive line as a whole from 17 to 18, it was worse in 18. It got worse. And I know we gave up Danny Shelton. Everybody wants to say we got a 3rd round pick. We didn't. We swapped 3rd for a 5th. Okay, we moved up like 20, like 30 spots or something like that. We also got rid of, I think this was a mistake. Jamie Meter. Like, you can sit there and go, what's Jamie Meter going to add to you? Well, nothing really. But when you have zero, all the guys you brought in contribute and give you absolutely nothing. It was a bigger loss than what we want to, really admit to, because Jamie Meter at least was able to get some push. He was able to play the run some, and we really struggled against it. And then, we had to try to get some kind of pressure, and Avery did a good job at doing that. So it was fine, but the problem was as soon as you push Agba inside, I just don't think I can't think of one time when he was on the inside where he was winning. Like, I think he struggles. Like, people would like to see him get moved to the 3-tech, put on some more weight, but I just don't see him being able to play that. So he really might not have a fit anywhere. He just might not be a good football player. But I feel like him being on the edge was when he was at his most effective as a pass rusher, and he wasn't necessarily good at that either, to be honest. So it'll be interesting.
They could do some fun things on that defensive line this year if they can put Vernon and Garrett on the same side once in a while. Just to move around, you can sort of pick on the bad player on the other team with Avery and Garrett and Vernon and now Richardson and Ogunjobi. It looks like that's going to be some fun there.
Like, again, with like Agba going on the inside, I don't want to see Miles play that often on the inside either. I like the fact that Miles plays on the outside and uses both his speed and power. Sometimes when you're on the inside, you can't really, like, quickness is definitely, it definitely helps you, but a lot of times you need a lot more power. You're going to have to use a lot more power to push a guy through. And the fact that Miles gives you both of those, that a tackle goes, I don't know if he's going to go around me with the great bend that Miles has, or I don't know if he's going to go through me. That really, that makes it real tough for a tackle. And I don't want to take that away from Miles, and you put him on the inside, and now he's fighting off two, a center and a guard at the same time, or he's trying to just push through a guard when he's got a little bit more room to move and operate on the outside. I don't think it's nice to see that go to those NASCAR packages at sometimes, but I don't want to use Miles too often on the inside.
No, yeah, not too often. Just once in a while. Just have some fun with it.
Sure.
Keep them guessing a little bit.
Well, I like that. And like you said, figure out who the weak link is and attack them, which right now, if you go to the Bengals, it's the whole line.
Yeah.
So, but that's been a strength for the Steelers. Now the Steelers have traded away 2 right tackles 2 years in a row. So maybe that will be the side that Vernon and Miles go to attack the Steelers. But, like we said at the beginning, everybody else is getting worse, and it seems like the Browns are getting better. The AFC North is here for us.
Yeah, looking forward to this, getting the rest of this free agency down, figuring out what we're coming out with into the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm on board with the Vernon deal as well. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, and not only you lose Zeitler, like we said, it's tough, but we got a replacement there.
Also, with Mayfield and the way they schemed the last portion of the year, you just get the ball out of his hands quick. Just do what he does good. I think we'll be okay there. I don't know. I'm not sure there's anything to worry about.
Well, I think there's definitely risk involved, right? Here's what happened for sure. We got better on defense. That's without question. We got better on defense. There's risk involved on the offensive side, but you don't spend the 33rd pick in the draft and then go, well, without having some faith in that player that he's going to be able to contribute, and sooner rather than later, and then go, okay, well, we have this asset here. We could really improve the other side of our ball, of the defense there, but then we're going to be stuck playing our 33rd overall pick. You don't want to, you want to be able to have confidence in that guy, and I imagine they do. We'll see when we get there. He has to show me before I go, oh yeah, we're good there for sure. I don't see, why he can't do an adequate. He just needs to play average, right? He doesn't have to be great. Just be solid, and we'll be okay.
Yeah. The next move we made to improve that defensive line, and this is one that we thought they'd be looking at it 17, is 3-tech Sheldon Richardson, former first-round pick, number 13 overall out of Missouri to the New York Jets. Played a season in Seattle and played a season in Minnesota. This is his 4th team. $39 million, 3 years, 21 guaranteed, I believe, is the early contract number that has come out.
Yeah, and it's not a great deal. It's not a bad deal. I think it's probably market value. The one other guy we talked about, Malik Jackson, he was cut from Jacksonville. He was signed before free agency officially opened by the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're paying him 3 years, $30 million. So it's pretty close. Sheldon Richardson, he's going to get a little bit more there. But I still think it's pretty solid. If they went either way there, I was going to be happy with it.
Yeah, it was something we needed to address. Last year, he had 4.5 sacks in 16 games. I don't know about hurries.
47 total pressures on 437 pass rushes. Last year, 36 on 388. So he's around 10%. That's a pretty solid number for a defensive tackle. You want to just look at sack numbers alone. He's had 28 in 6 years that he's been in the league. So is he going to be like a huge sack guy? No, but he's going to add definitely. He's going to give you some pressure up the middle. He plays the run pretty well. It's just all around solid. Like, again, we were so bad. I mean, I can't tell you how terrible we were at the 3-tech last year. It had to improve. And I still don't think they're done. Like, you pick up Sheldon Richardson here, great. Now, you're not finished, though. We still need another defensive tackle in the draft.
Yeah, I'd still even poke one at 17 if my guy was there,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If the right guy's there, yeah. And now, not only that, gives you flexibility. That's the one thing you want to do. You want to go in the draft, and you just want to take the best guy available. You don't want to go, God damn it, we have to have a corner, or we have to have a offensive tackle here. And then you reach. Because when you reach, that's when you make the mistakes. You just want to go and say, all right, who's the best guy? Do we have a couple contracts that we're going to have to move on from next year where we're going to have spots available? Does the guy that's picked at 17 have to come in and start right away? No, that's not the way good teams work, right? So it's okay that if there's a better player in front of him this year, that the guy comes in and sits, and then when he finally gets his reps because, an injury or the guy moves on the next year, that he's then slotted in. The good teams don't have to have all their picks come in and play right away. And I know that's, in Browns land, we get very upset. Like, for instance, Corbett not playing last year, like, we just completely wasted the 33rd pick. Well, it's not necessarily the case. You see now the way it works, where Zeitler, we go ahead, we got a good piece in Zeitler, a very valuable guy. Well, he's also valuable to other teams, and we can trade him away for a valuable piece. And we get better as all-around team. Corbett slides in, and hopefully we go without, we just move along like we were before, and everything's good. So don't expect, all these draft picks this year to come in. There's as you see, we're having all basically by the time we get to the draft, all these positions of need should be pretty much hit, and now we're just filling in we're just adding depth in the draft. We're plugging holes.
Yeah, a couple reports. Roby, the corner out of Denver, has been floated around a little bit for the Browns. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Let's talk about that one. Okay, so Bradley Roby. When you look at the different cornerbacks out there that have been signed so far, like the average deal is right around $8 to $11 million. And I think there hasn't been like a ton of them. There maybe been 4 corners so far. Bradley Roby, to me, is going to be a better nickel corner. He played outside last year for Denver, didn't play as well. He's probably best to play against that slot guy. The only reason I can see Bradley Roby being an option for the Browns is if they want to move on from that TJ Carey contract. You brought this up to me yesterday. We started talking about it a little bit. What are they thinking about Roby? Didn't really make a lot of sense because I'm not sure if Roby is even that much of an upgrade over TJ Carey. But if you're going to pick up Roby, it would make sense that would be the guy you're moving on from. I believe we save $7 million if we move on from Carey by Friday.
Yeah, he's owed 7.5. I believe that fully guarantees on Friday. We would be leaving 2.7 million dead if you move on from him.
There's a signing and a roster bonus. So I'm looking at the cap hit this year is $8.9 million. Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, 8.9 million, and then the dead cap's 2.7. So do you save that $6.2 million in?
Okay, so the roster bonus you don't get unless you're on the roster. So throw that out. The only dead money is the prorated signing bonus for the next 3 years.
So let's just say that you're putting that TJ Carey money into Bradley Roby. It's not like let's say they go and pay Bradley Roby $9 million to come here. They are saving a little bit of money in year one because if they got rid of TJ Carey to sort of pay for that Bradley Roby contract, if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the way I look at it.
I think there's been a couple. I believe Detroit signed a slot corner and gave him actually pretty good money. Slot corners are actually getting paid.
Yeah, but I think it was like, I thought it was like $10 million.
Okay.
I don't have it right here in front of me. I think the most that anybody had got so far was Kareem Jackson, 3-year, like $33 million.
Okay.
So far. But I'm not saying that there was the corners really, the free agent corner market is not great by any means. It's kind of scarce. I mean, I think Buster Screen got a deal worth like $4 million a year. I'm just kind of assuming Bradley Roby. Bradley Roby, to me, is pretty close to TJ Carey. I think they're different in he's much more twitched up than TJ Carey. He's much more athletic. But when you look from a grading aspect from like Pro Football Focus, they're pretty close. Like, I don't know how big of an upgrade it is. I guess it's just going to come down to what are you going to do defensively with him? You know, maybe they ask Wilkes, would you prefer Roby over Carey, that sort of thing. You know, maybe the other thing is TJ Carey, when I was there in the, for training camp, he was having a tough time even like getting on the field. BBC was beating him out in the nickel to start off the year. They started him on the outside. He was getting roasted on the outside until Mitchell won that job. Next thing you know, he's like the fifth corner. You had Ward, BBC, Mitchell, and EJ Gaines all in front of him.
Right, yeah. So he didn't even play until Gaines went down, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then finally he played well. Once he started getting in there, he was playing better. And as the year went on, like he had the good game. Who did he go up against that he played really well? Was that Mike Evans or was that the one against Julio Jones? I can't remember which one was. One of them was Demarius Randall and one of them was TJ Carey, where they actually had a really good game against a good wide receiver. And it was like, okay, well, here we go. He's getting it together. But he lacks in athleticism. So, maybe John Dorsey just looks at it and goes, okay, well, we can probably do better there. And there's a bit of an out with it. It's
not crippling by any means to take the 2.7 dead. And the difference between, I know we were talking about this with somebody else, like if you're willing to pay a dude like $8 million, you probably should be willing to pay him 11, just the way that the way free agency works. If you like a player enough that you would pay him, then pay him a little more to get him.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't walk away from a deal for $2 or $3 million a year when you're in the Browns situation. It's not like we have to save here and there. Like go get who you want. Right. I'm not saying go sign a bunch more dudes. I expect a few more smaller signings just to fill in and some depth signings. But if you do want to take a shot at a corner and give them some money, I can probably stomach one more dude before I start to panic.
Well, the other thing is you had EJ Gaines on the roster last year, and he's not going to be on the roster. So maybe they're thinking, well, we had 4 guys last year that we were paying decent money to. But to me, it was sort of like, all right, we're going to fill our needs. And then, Ward's there in the draft, and it's like, okay, this is an upgrade. Do we still need to pay, this much money? Like if TJ Carey isn't going to be a starter, do you want to pay $9 million to a guy to be a backup cornerback? Like, right. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And Mitchell's only getting 2.5. So
yeah.
And BBC, they're letting walk. So Buddy Calhoun's out. They didn't tender him. So he's unrestricted tomorrow.
Right. And I know people go, well, you want to keep the depth. Right. I understand that. But at the same point, like if you don't have that much faith in him and he can't be a starter, I'm sure you can find somebody else to come in for a couple $1 million, or you go and find somebody for about the same amount of money that you like better, which might be the case if they're going with looking at a Bradley Roby.
We also have reports that Schobert, who's going into his last year of his deal, they're looking at extension for him, and Demarius Randall, who's playing on his 5th-year option for $9 million. They might be looking to extend him. And safeties have been getting paid.
Yeah, but they also have been getting cut. So the safety market makes no sense to me because it seems like supply and demand, there's all kinds of supply out there and not very much demand. And then next thing you know, these guys start getting paid. Did you see the list of free safeties out there that were free agents? Like they got let go of the Ravens let go of what's his name?
Weddle.
Weddle, yeah. Matthew was out there. There was a number
Collins,
of them. Landon Collins. He's not really a free safety, but at the same point, safeties in general. Safeties in general. And the same thing happened last year. There was a ton of free safeties by the end of free agent signing period, where it seems like you can probably get these guys for a lot cheaper than what you think. Do you want to be spending a lot of money on a free safety? That has me thinking, if you're the Browns, how much do you really want to be paying Damarius Randall? Like, you don't want to pay him like cornerback money. Like, he might be regretting being a free safety and not a cornerback anymore when it all comes down to it.
Yeah. I think the Jacksonville Jags, they let Cyprian go. He's a free safety, isn't he?
No, he's a strong safety. Tayshaun Gibson.
Oh, Gibson.
He's gone.
He's
gone. And Barry Church was another one there in Jacksonville, who's a strong safety, but still, just safety in generals. I believe the franchise number for like a free safety is like $11 million, and we're giving Damarius Randall $9 million on the last year of his deal. So that's a pretty strong number, that $9 million for a free safety.
That guarantees only for injury. They can probably work with his agent a little bit, and if they want to do a 3-year extension, they can probably do that, knowing that they're going to pay him $10 million this year or $9 million this year anyway. You can probably structure a 3-year deal where you're not on the hook for much more than 2 years anyway.
Yep.
And then you keep a player around for an extra year. Everything gets really, really tight once Garrett gets there and once Mayfield gets there. I know we were talking about like 25% of the cap going to Garrett and Mayfield at some point in the Browns' future.
Yeah, Earl Thomas is out there. Eric Reed got re-signed. LaMarcus Joyner got signed by the Oakland. Matthew, who we brought up. Adrian Amos. Eric Weddle. Clinton Dix is still available. Trey Boston's still available. Cyprian, who you brought up. I mean, there's some names like still out there. It's the biggest list. If you just go down this list, and there's not a ton of guys that are fantastic, but there's plenty of guys that can play. So even for strong safeties, Mike Mitchell and George Ioka. I mean, there's some guys out there, man, that it seems like safety. It's going to be a tough road ahead if you want to make some money. Eric Weddle's got a 2-year deal for $10.5 million from the Chargers. I mean, I know he's 34 years old, but that's like running back money.
Yeah. What do you want to do at linebacker here? Is there something? I mean, with Collins gone, I mean, hopefully we're just going to play 2 linebackers, with Schobert and Kirksey, and then just have some depth behind them. Kirksey's guaranteed $7 million.
Well, you know how I feel about Kirksey. Well, the Browns obviously feel that way too. They were reportedly in the running for C.J. Mosley, in the running for Jordan Hicks. Both of those go by, both of those pass. But you still got Mark Barron out there. I know some people like Deion Buchanan. I am not a fan of his. KJ Wright, who we talked about, has still not been signed by the Seahawks, so he's available. Jamie Collins is available. Do you want maybe not him? But there's a few names on there. It looks like Thomas Davis is going to sign with the Chargers at 36 years old, so they're getting old over there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so probably have something to do with a linebacker here. It doesn't have to be a big signing, but I imagine they're probably going to bring in somebody, and definitely probably going to draft somebody with one of their 45 picks this year.
Yeah, I think you absolutely have to. You got to get better at that position for sure.
Nick Foles, he got
a lot of
paid
money.
$88 million, 4 years, I believe, 50 guaranteed.
That's insane. And it's been brought up on Twitter, like, who are they bidding against? Who had him signed up for 4 years, $80 million, and Jacksonville said, we got to trump it immediately. We must get him for $88 million. That's crazy. That's crazy money right there. And then you see they had to get rid of quite a few players to be able to afford that as well. So, hey, good luck to them. But, man, $88 million for Nick Foles. It's nice to have Baker. What are we paying Baker next year? Like $7 million?
Yeah, rookie contract.
We need to get it done. We need to get it done right now is all we can say about it.
Yeah. The
other the rumor is, or that was going around, was Tyrod Taylor to the Dolphins. So that would leave us just with Drew Stanton, which we've talked about a couple times here. I'm not comfortable with that. So, and I'm sure they'll address it. I can't believe John Dorsey's comfortable with it. For all the crap that I've given John Dorsey about being a terrible public speaker, like I'm feeling pretty good about where, so far with his decision making. Olivier Vernon, love it. Sheldon Richardson, I love it. Bradley Roby, I have mixed feelings if they do that. It sort of makes sense. At the same time, I don't really know how much of an upgrade it is. Terrell Williams, not excited about it if they're really in play. I think he's going to get a contract of like $10 to $12 million. I'm not real excited about that one, the wide receiver from the Chargers. Where are you at with him?
I think he's going to come in pretty high now after seeing a couple of the other wide receivers go off the board.
Yeah, Adam Humphries got $9 million a year.
Yeah.
Devin Funchess, 1 year, $10 million. Cole Beasley, 4 year, $29 million. Jamison Crowder, the Jets are like, you know what? We got to get our young quarterback a weapon. How about Jamison Crowder? And they're all like, yeah, that's the one. Great. They got like 10 Jamison Crowders on the fucking roster already. Great job. 3 years, $28.5 million. Oh, congratulations, New York. You just got more mediocre. Like, looking at all these deals and like where some of these teams are, man, like they are living in that NFL purgatory that we lived in for so long. And it's so nice not to be there anymore and be actually looking to the future.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, yeah, what do you think Terrell Williams' number is going to be?
I'd say 12 or 13 million.
And what are you thinking of that?
It's probably out of my range. I'm not sure that we need him, but I mean, we are losing Perriman.
Yeah, but Perriman had 12 receptions on the year? Like everybody's like, oh, we're not going to have him back. Oh, it's going to be a big loss. And then you look at his stats, it's like, is it really a big loss?
No, not really. But basically, you're going into the year with Higgins, Callaway, and Landry. So
yeah, but you have to assume
somebody here.
You have to assume if that's the case, they're drafting somebody. And like we've talked about it numerous times, this wide receiver draft class is pretty stacked.
Yeah, I'd be looking at one there. There's quite a few dudes I like in the draft, but there's no guarantees with the draft.
True. But let's just, is Brashad Perriman a guarantee?
No, of course not. Yeah.
I guess Terrell Williams would be more like he's pretty good. I don't think he's like top-notch receiver by any means, though. I think there's a reason why the Chargers find him expendable.
Yeah.
At best, he's a nice deep ball threat. He'll go up, get the ball, but he's not like a volume pass catcher or anything. Yeah, but they probably go, we already have that with Jarvis Landry. We don't need volume pass catchers.
Here's a Josina Anderson update. There is one AFC North team that continues to inquire on Odell Beckham Jr.'s availability, and discussions have remained ongoing.
Okay, what are these? I hate even talking about this because I still just cannot believe this is a real thing. And what is it going to cost? But what do you think the chances are that the Browns are in the mix on that? Like, it's obvious that they're talking about it, but what are the chances that we can actually get them? And what is the price?
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not sure what. I don't want to give up first round picks and all that kind of bullshit.
Multiple, you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give you 17.
First and a third.
You want 17? Take it. Yeah, first and third. Okay, we're talking.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Now we're talking. We're talking.
Yeah, because then I don't have to draft one, so I can work with that.
Yeah.
I also don't want to get to a point where we're trying to build the team. Like, you can use that first on something else that we need, defensive tackle. And then they go, oh, we don't have a first and we don't have a third to draft a wide receiver that, I mean, of course it's not going to be as good as Beckham Jr. I get it. But Beckham Jr. also makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's a fucking balance, man. And it's tight. It's a tightrope, and it's all these signings make a big deal. I mean, look at what happened in Pittsburgh. Sometimes shit can go off the rails, and then all of a sudden you're scrambling. I'm not saying they're not going to get, back on track, but they're really scrambling over there in that front office.
Yeah. And I know, one of the things about Beckham that people don't like is his attitude, and especially when the going gets tough. With some of these players, when it gets tough, they seem to really have trouble controlling themselves and sort of sticking their foot in their mouth. But when things are going well, then they thrive. Like, if things are going well and the Browns are winning, everybody's going to love Beckham. If things are going bad, Mayfield's hurt, and we're having a tough time getting the ball, people are going to be like, God damn Beckham, he's driving me nuts. And it's taking that good with, that bad with the good and being able to accept it. And even with him, I mean, there's risk. It's not like Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't been injured. He's been injured plenty over the past couple of years. When he plays, the dude's a straight stud. But yeah, there's risk involved with any move, obviously, that you make. But yeah, for the right price, absolutely, I'd do it. I just couldn't do it for a couple firsts.
No, yeah. It seems like it hamstrings you too much.
Yeah.
For a player that gets paid too much. I mean, a first round pick gets a lot of money, but they don't get a lot of money. It's all signing bonus. It's all pretty easy to manage. And yeah, you can miss, but. Geez.
And you have draft assets to be able to, throw some darts at the board here and see if you can hit on a wide receiver as well.
Right. Yeah. You could pull off the Packers last year. Just take like 3 or 4 of them, whatever.
Yeah. That was the Browns in 2016.
Yeah. We're just going to take them all. See if any of them are good. Hey, Higgins and Lewis still on the team. Come on.
Well, we'll see how long Lewis is on there for. Speaking of that, remember the other, this is going back to last show, but we were talking about the Auburn Darius Slayton. I looked up the PFF draft guide dropped, and I looked up his drop rate, and it was 18.6%. 18.6% of passes thrown to him, he drops. So I just thought that was a funny thing.
Yeah,
so,
no thanks.
If you listen to the last show, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, tough luck. Should have listened.
All right, we got anything else or?
No, not really. I can't think of anything. But we'll have more news, I'm sure, coming out over today, tomorrow. We'll probably get another one in relatively quickly.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back as soon as we get some more news. Appreciate it. Rate us up on iTunes, patreon.com/STS podcast if you want to support the show. Greg, what's our Twitter? I'm ahead of you for our
Twitter
closing.
is at STS podcast, and our email is
season@gmail.com. Hashtag Road to Redemption. Looking good. Greg, tell them what we say.
Keep on surviving.